Crouse.
I wanted to start by asking you about a movie called The Tales of Hoffman.
Yeah, okay.
And this is a Michael Powell movie, and I heard that as a kid that you'd rent like a 16-millimeter copy almost every week. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, it wasn't every week. It was whenever I could save enough allowance dough to go. You know, in those days you had to, if you wanted to have a film on your dining room wall, you had to go rent not only the print, but a projector. So it was... it was quite an investment for a kid that was making, a quarter a week or whatever. But, no, I did. I loved it. I was dragged kicking and screaming to see it by an aunt and uncle who said, I wanted to go see the new Tarzan, the new Lex Barker, to see how he stacked up against Weissmuller. And they said, no, we're going to see this. And I fell in love with it. First of all, it's a fantasy film. Have you seen it?
I haven't. This is why I'm asking. I love Peeping Tom. There's a number of his movies that I love, but I've not seen this one.
Oh, man, it's just beautiful. It's completely captivating. It's all sung. It's all opera. It's not like The Red Shoes where there's a story running through it and then, Leonid Messine does a ballet at the end. But this is purely the opera, with a couple of additional pieces of music that were done because I think Powell was squeezing Norma Shearer at the time. But it's the movie that made me want to make movies. I mean, I just fell in love with it from the pop. And you could see he did it on a low budget. You could see the techniques that he was using. He was reversing action, doing overprints, double exposures, and it seemed accessible. I mean, I think at that age, if I had seen Jurassic Park, I would have said, forget about it. I don't know how to do this dinosaur thing. But I could see how it was done, and it made it accessible to me, and it made me think that maybe someday I could do something like this.
So were you watching it, or were you studying it?
I was a little of both. A little of both. I mean, I'm a sucker for, old movies that I loved as a kid. I put them on, and I got a tear in my eye when the overture starts.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is just connection, and it's sort of like the marching band in a parade going by. But I was studying it and watching it. It's a movie that I still love. I still watch often. I had a chance to do a commentary track on the Criterion release, and Michael was he was my man. I mean, he was really my man. I got to meet him one time. He married Thelma Schumacher.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's trying to have his films reissued and restored and things now to keep his legacy alive.
Well, she's been talking about that forever, but I don't know what the market. I hope it works out.
Yeah.
Black Narcissus, boy, I haven't seen and actually, there's not a really complete, really great print of Hoffman. There are a couple of arias that are cut out, and I don't even know if this stuff exists anymore.
Right.
But,
no, I wonder, when you met Michael Powell, I'll get to your new film.
Don't worry about it.
When you met Michael Powell, you must have people coming to you all the time and saying, your films inspired me to become a filmmaker. Did you do that to him, and do you understand what it's like when people come to you now? Did it make it? Did your interaction with him sort of inform interactions later that you have with people?
I think that I hope that it did. My problem is that most of the people that I meet that say they want to make movies, today, I go to these horror conventions, whether it's Rue Morgue or wherever. I travel all around the world doing these horror conventions. I get, every time I go, at least a dozen films from young aspiring filmmakers. They're all zombie movies. I keep saying, no, man, write about your town, do something about your dad, do some, because most of them are it's all about the gore, and so I have a little bit of a problem with people who say that they're emulating my films, and there's nothing underlying or informing their films. It's all just about the ketchup, So I I have a little bit of a hard time with it. I mean, when I met Michael, I mean, I was able to, first of all, talk about several of his other films, and I was much more interested in technique and in what inspired him, and all of that. Where most of the stuff that I get is, I want to make zombie movies just like you, and I made one. Here, look at it. So, and it's usually disappointing.
Well, I guess what they don't understand is that, the first movie, and all the movies, but I'm thinking of the inspiration for the first movie, it was all about the subtext in that movie. It was about the Vietnam War. It was about all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Anti-consumerism is something you've touched on time after time. It's about that. The zombies are just kind of the vessel, I guess, by which you tell the story.
Yeah, exactly. No, I just bring the zombies out of the closet when I have something I want to talk about. But no, that's exactly right, and it's so hard to tell people that. I mean, I think most of the people in the audience are either there to just take the ride or, watch the gore, chuckle at the gore, whatever, and don't particularly care. I shouldn't say that, because I've been very lucky in terms of people, journalists like yourself, who recognize what you just said, and that's very gratifying. But by and large, I don't think the public particularly cares about that, and it's very disappointing that more people that are working in fantasy today don't use it as a metaphor. I mean, it's just sort of, and some of that may be Hollywood, saying, well, we don't need any of that. What we want is the shock and those values that sell tickets.
Well, I think as long as you and Guillermo del Toro and a few others, Terry Gilliam, keep making films that use fantasy and speculative fiction and that sort of thing as a metaphor, that we'll be doing okay.
Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you for including me with those boys. Guillermo's my man. I mean, he's my man today. I mean, he's sort of, running a close second to Michael in my mind. He's a great guy. He's also a great guy. I mean, he's just a great guy.
Now,
Richard Crouse.